Sophie Cunningham just got through by a rookie. It's one thing to be physical. It's another thing to be slinging people on the floor.
It was a non-basketball play. That is clear. It was not within the realm of basketball. It was a shove. She was frustrated. She was upset.
That Mega Barbie still made her look like a fool. 21 points to her 7. Sophie Cunningham has been an absolute beast in this game. This is the worst part of the WNBA. This league is just ate up with class. The classless players and acts across this league.
This wasn't just a foul. It was a straight-up assault, and it shocked the entire basketball world. Just 2 minutes ago, Caitlin Clark, the rising star everyone's been watching, was brutally taken down by a player from the Brazil team in a move that had fans gasping and commentators stunned.
So Brittany Sykes, here we go. If you're a Sticks fan, better stay that way. Bandwagon's gonna be full before you know it, acting like Kennedy Carter on the court.
It wasn't part of the play. It wasn't competitive hustle. It was personal. But here's what no one expected. Caitlin didn't crumble. She changed. In this video, we're breaking down the moment that shook the arena, the chaos that followed, and how one violent encounter might have just unleashed a whole new version of Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark was crapped on all last year. Caitlin Clark was the recipient of plays that were non-basketball plays. Kennedy Carter is a good example. And I don't think the Fever should be allowed to just be hit and thrown to the ground or any of those things.
It all went down in the closing moments of the game. Caitlin Clark was sprinting across the court, doing what she does best, controlling the tempo, reading the defense, setting up the next play. But out of nowhere, a Brazilian defender not going for the ball, not even pretending to make a clean stop, slammed into her with full force.
Looks like Sophie got the last laugh.
The arena fell silent. This wasn't a hard foul. This was a non-basketball act, a hit designed to intimidate, humiliate, and send a message. Clark hit the floor hard, and for a second it looked like the energy had been sucked out of the entire stadium. Even the announcers were caught off guard. One of them flat out said, "That's not a basketball play."
Sophie Cunningham just got through by a rookie. This is the worst part of the WNBA. It is. The smiles afterward, let's get negative. These people are loving this.
The replay confirmed it. No attempt to guard, just a deliberate shoulder to the body. The refs immediately called it what it was, an unsportsmanlike foul. And while Caitlin was trying to regain her footing, the Brazilian crowd did the unthinkable. They cheered. They applauded the aggression. A moment that should have been met with concern turned into a celebration of violence. This was no ordinary game. This was war on the court.
A lot of things have come out now about the Mystics and that really, really absurd where multiple players went after Sophie Cunningham. Number one, Sophie owned their asses on the court yesterday.
As Caitlin Clark pulled herself up from the floor, the tension in the arena reached a boiling point. Her teammates rushed to her side, faces tight with anger and disbelief. The crowd, still roaring, but this time, it wasn't in support of great basketball. It was mob energy, feeding off violence. You could feel it raw, uncomfortable, and electric. Sophie Cunningham wasn't having it.
They are already now attacking Sophie Cunningham. Oh, they're mad. The MAGA Barbies got them angry. Need Kiki to whack her again. They're cheering on violence against this basketball player.
The WNBA veteran immediately got in the face of the Brazilian player who committed the foul, refusing to let it slide. Cunningham made it clear, you don't take cheap shots at our point guard and walk away like nothing happened. The refs had to step in to separate players as both benches started to buzz with fury. Even the broadcasters struggled to stay neutral. One of them said bluntly, "That's disgraceful." Another added, "This isn't what women's basketball is about." You could hear it in their voices. This moment wasn't just dirty, it crossed a line. But the disrespect didn't stop there.
Oh, can't criticize. That's racism. Wait, what? I mean, after last season, I can't say I'm shocked. So now the Indiana Fever officially have 2 players in the crosshairs of these chicks in the league. She's yelling while Kiki's laughing in her face. Never seen a rook have a vet so rattled. Yeah, let's celebrate violence.
At the final buzzer after Team USA secured the win, the Brazilian players refused to shake hands. No sportsmanship, no apology, just cold stares and silent exit lines. It wasn't just about winning or losing anymore. It was about pride, retaliation, and a growing target on Caitlin Clark's back. She's not just playing basketball anymore. She's surviving a battlefield. And all this chaos is shaping something deeper in her than just competitive drive.
Oh my God, Sophie's a dog.
And she is going to be an absolute steal for the Indiana Fever because not only does she bring a level of toughness and tenacity that the team needed, but there's a certain level of spiciness with Sophie Cunningham, but she's also the best perimeter playmaker on the team outside of Caitlin Clark.
The moment Caitlin Clark hit the floor, everything changed. You could feel the air shift. This wasn't just another foul in a competitive game, it was personal. As she struggled to get up, her teammates quickly surrounded her, protective and visibly shaken. Sophie Cunningham, in particular, wasn't about to let it slide. The veteran guard immediately confronted the Brazilian player who delivered the hit, her voice rising, eyes locked.
The Mystics refused to shake the hands of the Fever players after the game.
Tensions flared fast. Players began shouting. The refs had to physically step in to separate them. What made it worse, what truly stunned everyone, was the crowd's reaction. Instead of outrage or concern, they cheered, loudly, enthusiastically. It was as if they were celebrating the takedown of one of basketball's biggest rising stars. It was ugly, raw, the kind of energy that doesn't belong on a basketball court.
You know, Cunningham is able to shoot the ball from deep. She can score in that way, of course. She's strong, can finish through contact, and she's able to set others up, not to mention the fact that she moves without the basketball.
And Caitlin Clark, standing there bruised but upright, had to soak it all in. The broadcasters couldn't believe what they were seeing either. One of them called it disgraceful. Another simply said, "This isn't basketball."
The gap between Caitlin Clark and Sydney Colson as an on-ball player and distributor and everything else cannot really be measured. And the Fever got off to a rough start with Colson leading the show, and it wasn't until Cunningham got into the game that they got an injection of life.
The replay only made it worse. It clearly showed there was no play on the ball, no defensive strategy, just a shoulder thrown with intent. It wasn't just physical, it was calculated. And then the final buzzer rang. Team USA had won, but the victory felt hollow in that moment. What stood out more than the score was the refusal of the Brazilian players to even acknowledge their opponents. No handshakes, no respect.
34 minutes, 6 of 11 from the field, 54%, 21 points, 8 rebounds. She's been an absolute beast in this game.
They walked off the court without a word, leaving a bitter taste behind. This wasn't competition, it was hostility. Caitlin Clark, once again, had become a target, not for how she plays, but for who she is. Her rising fame, her leadership, her boldness on the court, it all makes her a lightning rod. And this night in Brazil, it all erupted. But what they didn't realize is that this incident wasn't going to break her. It was going to mold her.
Like, we got to make sure that we're not putting Caitlin at risk for injury. We're not putting our team in a position where we're thinking short term and not long term. It's a long season, 4 more games than last season. So we want to make sure that we're extra cautious and health and wellness first and foremost. And honestly, it's been one day at a time. You know, how she's reacted to treatment, how she's reacted to workouts. So positive progress is being made, but we can't be short-sighted.
Something shifted in Caitlin Clark that night, and it wasn't just from the hit. It was from the way the world reacted, the silence of justice, the applause for violence, the blatant disrespect. All of it burned into her. She walked off that court not as the same player, but as someone who had just seen the truth about fame, competition, and how high the price of greatness really is.
You go in and ball out against these chicks in the WNBA, they get mad and they get their feelings hurt. And so instead of turning to basketball and defense, we'll turn to violence.
This wasn't the bright-eyed college phenom anymore. This was someone who had just stared down hate in its rawest form and didn't blink. That fire you see in her now, it's different. It's not just about scoring points or making flashy plays. It's about survival. It's about proving she won't be silenced, shaken, or shoved out of the spotlight, no matter how hard they try. Her posture, stronger, her eyes, sharper, and her game, more ruthless.
A few Fever players were waving because they were expecting a handshake line. Mystic players went straight to the locker room. That is really, really poor sportsmanship.
Since the incident, Caitlin's been stepping into a new version of herself, the kind that knows exactly what she's up against and chooses to rise anyway.
So Brittany Sykes, here we go. If you're a Styx fan, better stay that way. Bandwagon's gonna be full before you know it, acting like Kennedy Carter on the court.
This is the Caitlin Clark who plays not just with skill, but with a deeper purpose. One born from bruises and built on resilience. She's no longer just an athlete, she's a symbol of how to take the hit and then hit back harder. With her game, with her grace, with her growth.
What's going on with that? How are you doing today? Just a little tightness. I'll go through all our warm-ups and everything, and then they'll decide if I'm good to go or not, but it'll be the medical team visit.
What do you hope to get out of this?
I think just getting a feel of playing with new teammates. You know, this is basically a new roster. You look up and down. Obviously, you got 5 players back, but other than that, like, you're trying to build chemistry with your teammates. And you do rotations. Nobody's going to play a ton of minutes. Kind of just going out there and getting a feel. We've been going against each other, going against our practice guys, but it's fun to actually go up against another WNBA team and really get a gauge of where you're at.
The world tried to knock her down, but all they did was wake her up. Caitlin Clark took the hit and answered with heart. What was meant to break her only built her, stronger, sharper, unshakable. They tried to send a message, but she sent one louder. I'm still here, and I'm just getting started. This isn't just a comeback. This is a transformation. Watch closely, because the game just changed.
They are already now attacking Sophie Cunningham. Oh, they're mad. The MAGA Barbies got them angry.
Oh my God, Sophie's a dog. She just is, she's a competitor. She's versatile, so she allows us to do different things. Like, she plays with such toughness. She's huge, and she's going to be for us all season long. But what she brings from an energy standpoint, she raises the level of play of everybody around her as soon as she steps foot on the floor. Hell, even on the sideline. I mean, her communication, everything. She's definitely an X factor.